appreciate everybody coming out to tonight's regular meeting for November. As we get started, you'll notice Mr. Jones is not here this evening. He and his wife have both been sick, so he's feeling under the weather, and he didn't want to share any of that, which I was thankful that he didn't want to spread that around anymore. So he won't be with us this evening. We'll go ahead and get started, and I'll ask Mr. Caldwell to do the pledge, if you would, please.
Attention. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. And Ms. Crawford, would you mind reading what she said?
Sure. The mission of Clay County Schools is to build high-quality learning environments that ensure all students learn at high levels.
Thank you. And our next regular scheduled meeting will be December the 18th. In the agenda, you guys have that emailed to you, and you have a copy in front of you. So I'll entertain a motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Ms.
agenda.
Crawford, is there a second? Mr. Caldwell, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Shelley, was there, Angel, any public comment? No? Okay. So no public comment. So with that being said, we'll start with our oath of office. We're excited to have Mr. Barrett here. He's the clerk of court. He's going to administer the oath to Ms. Godfrey as we get ready to take her tenure as superintendent of Clay County Schools in 3 or 4 days.
Oh, that'd be great.
Down here in the front.
That's sweet.
I'm going to ask you to hold the Bible. Yes, you'll be placing your left hand on the Bible and raising your right. You need to say, were you turned okay?
Nope, you're fine. Yep.
I'm going to have to put my eyes on, please. All right. Do you, Melissa Beth Godfrey, and raise your right hand. Do you, Melissa Beth Godfrey, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina, and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability? Do you swear that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office of Superintendent of Clay County Schools according to the best of your skill and ability, according to the law, so help you God? Congratulations. We'll take Mr. Jones' spot right here. You'll sign right there. You want to check if they retain it or?
Yeah, she'll keep it. Yeah.
And congratulations again.
You want to start right now, Ms. Crawford? I'll make it easy.
That is, if I can take just a minute, I guess. Obviously, congratulations to Ms. Godfrey. December 1st is fast approaching, so we're excited for that. It's also your last board meeting again with us. How many last board meetings have you had?
A quick count.
So
This is the last.
This is the last one. So we do appreciate you always been willing to step in when Clay County Schools needs a hand. You've always been more than willing to step forward and help
Thank
out.
you.
So it's obviously very much appreciated. So thank you both. I'm looking forward to the next term here so shortly. So thank you. Next we have a recognition section.
Just quick, you've already seen this in the paper, I'm sure. Mr.
Cottrell, and we're going to try to get him here, but he's got a ball game tonight, so we'll do something maybe later, but just wanted to make sure everyone's aware. He won his 600th game last week, and as a basketball coach, 600 games. Just say you coach 30 years, you got to win 20 a year.
Yeah.
They only play 23 a year, and they make the playoffs, of course, which is a good sign. He's made the playoffs and coached deeper, so that's about unheard of anymore. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. They had a little celebration for him at the high school this morning, and at the ball game tonight, or right now, I guess is speaking, they were doing a celebration for him at the ball game. So he's been a good addition to our staff for many, many years.
Yeah.
I told him today we need about 200 more. Mr. Overland said, yeah, when you reach 700, don't even call us. When you get close to 800, let us know again. We'll do it again.
Yeah,
It's been good.
that's exciting. It's been a well-deserved. So next, I have a report on the Hayesville High School heating and cooling system.
Just a quick update. The heating and cooling system in the high school is getting old and starting to fail. We had a big leak 2 weeks ago, I guess. The heat was out. Stephen Livers goes down there and starts putting some boiler system, pumping water into it. It's low in water, never did fill up. That's not a good sign. He's going somewhere. So he searched and searched and searched, and he was afraid it's going to be in the floor, which finally ended up it was. But anyway, just to show you, let's get my hands dirty. I've got some evidence right here. That's what we're looking at.
Oh my goodness.
This is just what he found and fixed it. So and that's the whole building, I'm sure, looks like that. So anyway, it's not good. I'm making a mess. It's better to see it. It's like you said, you can make pictures of it all day long, but you need to see it. That's just something for the future. Now, I know the building's, 30, maybe 32 years old. Doesn't seem like that old to me, but 32 years, things start to change. So, anyway, that's all that is, just to make everybody aware that somewhere down the line, I'm going to have to figure out some way to. And I don't know if those lines are in the floor. There's not a good place to put water lines. We've had them overhead. That works fine until it starts leaking like in the gym, the high school gym. It starts coming down on the floor, messing the floor up. It's under the floor. You got to beat up the floor. There's just not a good place to put the water lines. So, anyway, this is just for your information tonight. That's all I had on that, unless you got a question.
Anybody have any questions about that system? Next, we have school improvement plans, and we have the elementary school, and Ms. Godfrey is doing that.
Hello. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about our school improvement plan for the upcoming year, starting with just a reminder of the vision and mission that we've adopted at Hayesville Elementary. So our vision is that Hayesville Elementary School envisions engaged learners in an inclusive environment where all will thrive. Our mission, the mission of Hayesville Elementary School, is to couple compassionate, responsive relationships with high expectations and rigorous instruction, which will strengthen our learning environments to empower all learners to succeed. That's work that we did as a school improvement team about 2 years ago, updating our mission and vision, and so we like to keep that at the forefront of what we're doing. Just a little bit about things our school improvement team accomplished last year that we're really proud of. We developed a system for quarterly conduct rewards. We updated and improved our behavior matrix. We implemented a Student of the Week recognition. We created a guiding matrix to correlate EOG descriptors with grade level standards. So basically, the EOGs provide test specifications that tell you what standards are going to be assessed and what percentage of the tests that they focus on. And so we've aligned that so that teachers really know the content that will be included in their end-of-year assessment. Instructional teams have continued to create and improve pacing guides for all subject areas. Our MTSS academic team created and implemented a standard treatment protocol for math and reading, and basically what that is just how we use data decision rules. If a student has this criteria, then this is the intervention we provide. We initiated use of Educator's Handbook school-wide. A few more accomplishments that we're really proud of: our PBIS, SEL, attendance, and our MTSS academic teams review data at least monthly. We implemented the Satcher Screener school-wide for needs-based decision-making to support the social emotional well-being of our students. We used a time calculator for our counselor to make sure that we were meeting that 80% of counselor support being focused on student direct work with students. We developed a transition plan between Hazel Primary School to Hazel Elementary School to ease that transition between the primary and elementary, and also from the elementary to the middle school. We had a great transition day last May that we were super proud of. We created a schedule for me personally that allowed protected time for more consistent and complete walkthroughs and providing timely feedback to teachers. We utilized volunteers and strategic meeting plans to protect and provide extra planning for classroom teachers at midterms. So one of the things we did last year is decide that we were going to provide feedback to parents on work habits and conduct at midterms, as well as report card time. So we freed up time for teachers to be able to provide that feedback to parents and students. We implemented monthly goal setting chats with students and families utilizing digital data trackers. We improved safety with our Identikid visitor login, putting mats under water fountains. We implemented fire drill buddies for our mobile units. We created safety bags that go with our teachers anytime they leave the classroom. And we utilized our lobby and the TV to celebrate students and promote school activities. Those are things that were specifically aligned to our school improvement work last year that we accomplished, things we checked off our school improvement plan that we presented last year. Our overarching goals for this year will be that all 3rd through 5th grade students will make progress in EOG math. Overall, our goal is to increase proficiency to from 40.1% to 64% for students scoring a level 4 or 5. So those numbers seem a little bit low compared to the numbers that you've seen as far as our proficiency goes, and that's because our state indicators, our long range goals, only look at 4s and 5s. They want those kids to be college and career ready, so it takes out our students scoring a level 3, which is proficient, but doesn't meet college and career readiness. And so last year, our goal, our proficiency of 4s and 5s in math was 40.1%. Our long range goal for this year set by DPI is 64%, so that's where those numbers come from. Same thing in reading. We want our students to make progress in reading. We would like our levels 4s and 5s to increase from 39.8% to 53%. And then lastly, our last goal is about student behavior. All students will meet behavior expectations by achieving at least 90% on the updated conduct matrix. So those are our overarching goals for this school year, and I'm just going to quickly talk to you about some of the key action items that are in our school improvement plan. Relating specifically to positive behavior, we are utilizing the minor feature in Educator Handbook. Last year we only used it for office referrals. This year we're using it to also document minor incidents that are handled in the classroom. That gives us additional data that we can look at to problem solve. We implemented the house system with weekly review of expectations and celebrations. That's something we've started doing, but that is something that is going to be a focus on implementing and improving that throughout this year. We do our morning meeting known as B-Buzz. We are using that so that the whole school is getting the same message about their behavior expectations. And we're also implementing our quarterly rewards into the house system as well. So we're trying to take what was already existing with our behavior incentives and integrate them into our current initiative with the house system. In terms of our MTSS, we are implementing and revising decision trees for SEL, social emotional learning, behavior, attendance, and academics. So as we have utilized the protocols we have in place, we've learned the areas that need tweaking a little bit, or maybe our materials have shifted, and so we're working on updating those. We're clarifying and improving data collection for Tier 2 and Tier 3. We're improving our fidelity check system to provide feedback for all of our adopted materials, and we're reviewing subgroup data regularly. These are all things that we've started on after our school has voted on our school improvement plan, but these are things that we'll be working on throughout the whole year. We also have an intentional focus on our pacing guides. We want to review and update those to reflect the NC Check-ins 2.0, which is the newest release version of NC Check-ins. We want to explore more science materials to increase consistency. We don't have an adopted textbook for science, so we're continuing to explore science materials to add to our curriculum. We are going to be working on developing pacing guides for science that include a crosswalk between the current standards and the upcoming standards. The science standards are changing next year. We do have EOG science that's tested in 5th grade, so it'll be important for our teachers to have clear understanding of how the standards are shifting. And also we want to continue working on aligning our instruction with our recent letters training that has been completed. In terms of parent communication, we've implemented a weekly school-wide newsletter that's shared out through Remind and Facebook. We are plan to start monthly grade level newsletters that will share more information about the curriculum that's being covered and how to support learning at home. We are using the Remind app, and so parents receive a notification from the Remind app anytime their child is absent, reminding them about makeup work, reminding them to send in a note for their absence to try and make sure that we're keeping our unexcused absence numbers down. And we're also working on grade level family night presentations and activities. We recently had one on Read to Achieve for our 3rd grade parents, and that's something that we'd want to increase. In terms of leading and learning, we are working with Open Way Learning on work days and also in PLCs that's specifically focused on student engagement strategies. We have teachers and our counselor as well as EC staff leading PLCs. So that's really been a shift. Our instructional coach was the leader of PLCs, and we're kind of passing that on to some of our teacher leaders and allowing our counselor to work specifically with our grade level teams as well as our EC staff. That's been very successful so far. We want to work on vertical alignment between grade levels. So we're doing a really great job within the grade levels, but we want to increase that to the grade above and the grade below. And we want to explore options to prevent summer learning loss. So, thank you. That's our plan for this year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I appreciate all the support that you've given our school to be able to accomplish what we've accomplished in the last year. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I don't. A lot.
Covered it all.
That was good.
All over.
Just a comment that the recognitions and the achievement that you've been experiencing seems to reflect what you've done there, what you've
Well,
shown.
our school improvement team, thank you. Our school improvement team has been very dedicated to the work and plans that we have, and I think we're starting to see the effects of that. So it's been very rewarding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Miss Rich with the middle school.
Hi, everybody. It's always hard to follow Melissa, but we'll give it a whirl. So, first I just want to recognize our team members, and I'm not going to read them all, but I want to give a shout out to Danielle Barter, who is our SIP team chair, and this is new to her, and she has done a lot of work this year in learning how to manage our meetings and how to record them, that kind of thing. She's attended some PD, and so I'm really proud of her. I want to give her a little shout out, and then we also have 2 parent reps that are that attend faithfully, and that's Miss Tammy Hanna and Miss Pam Bradshaw. And so they're always there to voice their opinion and give us some feedback. And then I also have a couple of PAC members, which is our PTO. I didn't put them on here, but Miss Amanda Wesson, she always comes and brings someone with her from the PAC, so they come and give us some feedback as well. So we're thankful for them. So our school improvement plan just centers around increasing student achievement. And 3 ways that we thought we could probably do this is if we utilized our MTSS processes a little more effectively than we did last year. We also want to invite our parents to partner with us to help our students achieve more this year. And we also want to help our rising 6th graders transition to middle school a little better than we did last year and we have in the past, just so that they'll be aware of the expectations of middle school, because it's really hard to meet expectations that you don't know. So we want to make a comprehensive plan for them as they come in as well. So the why behind our goals, of course, focus around our mission and our motto. And our mission says that, and this is something that our school improvement team did this summer as well. We worked on a new mission and vision motto. So our mission says that we will create rigorous, high-quality instruction that fosters a growth mindset while building positive relationships with students, families, and our community. So we want to make sure that we're living our mission. So that's one of the reasons behind our goals this year. And our motto that we adopted is excellence without excuses. And that's another, we just want to make sure that we're living our motto. So some data points that we looked at, or of course our EOG scores from last year. And we looked at our educator's handbook, minor infractions from last year. And when we looked at our EOG scores last year, as most of you guys already know, it was really hard for us because, like you already know, we did meet growth last year. We also had 2 math teachers that did meet growth and 1 ELA teacher. So just looking at that made us take a good hard look at the things that we do and some things that we need to change. And so that's what our goals are focused around this year. We also looked at educator's handbook, our minor infractions. We had an extremely high number of minor infractions, but I was more curious as to how we handled those infractions instead of just what the infractions were, because I wanted to know if parents were being contacted to help us with those. And we only had like 14% of the infractions where a parent was actually notified, and only 2% where a conference was called. So that's something I want to improve on this year as well. So the indicators that are going to help us achieve our goals, of course, our MTSS indicator, which is A401. And I'm not going to read all of this, but this is kind of the things that we want to highlight this year. This is we want to focus on Tier 1 instruction. We've standardized the components of our instructional block, and we've adopted some high-impact instructional strategies. We made a change to our master schedule. So now that we have time to intervene at the end of every block instead of just like during that wind time that we had last year. And so that way we can do interventions every block 5 days a week. We also adopted a total team expectation when it comes to providing interventions. So that means whether you're core or whether you're exploratory, you're working with a group to help them achieve. And then last, we dedicated our budget this year to Math 180, which is a math intervention program to help our math teachers overcome some of the deficits that our students have in math. So we just want to make sure that we took our resources and focused them on achievement. So time, people, and finances were all geared toward achievements this year. Our next one indicator is B303, and that just reinforces mine and Amanda's dedication and commitment to being in classrooms, giving teachers feedback, and helping them with instruction and classroom management. E106 is our parent communication indicator, and I'm not going to read all that either, but one big thing that we are planning on doing this year is creating a comprehensive parent involvement plan. This was a recommendation from the North Carolina School Board Association with a passing of SB 49. We also feel like it'll help our parents know the ways that they can be involved in our school and that we actually want them in our school and involved in partnering with us. And the last one is A4610. This is just our transition indicator. And the goal for this indicator is that 6th grade, in conjunction with admin, will create a comprehensive transition plan for rising 6th graders. And that's just to help parents and students know what the expectations are at HMS, so that they'll be aware and can meet those when they get to us. And our indicators, our outcomes for success is we plan to see a 65% proficiency rate on math EOG at the end of the year. And that's a lofty goal, I know, after last year, but we can do it. Our kids can do it, and our teachers can do it. ELA proficiency rate of 65%, and we want to decrease our minor infractions by 10%. So that's our school improvement plan in a nutshell. Any questions?
One quick question. Does it seem to be going pretty good? So far, we've been now, 2 or 3 months as far as people buying into what you're doing? And
I believe so. I think every, like last year, it was we were all new to each other. You know, expectations were different. And I'm not gonna lie, I have high expectations. So, and I think that was really different for them as far as just they've been kind of sailing along. But we work together, we talk about things together, and we know that our students deserve the best. And when we say we want excellence without excuses, that's what we mean. We want excellence without excuses. So, yeah.
Good.
I feel like we're heading that way anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate what you're doing in those schools. Next, we have the budget with Ms. Hollingsworth.
after much anticipation over the past few months, we do finally have the 23-24 budget resolution ready for you all to go over and hopefully approve for us this evening. I'm going to just start, and you all had all this uploaded into your board folders, and I also went ahead and included all the notes so you had time to kind of prepare yourself for everything we would go over. This year, the total budget resolution is $22,370,455. This includes local current expense fund, which is on page 1. Local current expense fund, it accounts for about 9% of our total budget. The budgeted revenue and expenses for this year is $2,069,963. This is an increase of $152,137 in county appropriated funds, and that is because we transferred monies from what we had anticipated on having for capital outlay over to the local current expense fund this year. So that means we will not have any county appropriated capital outlay dollars to use. And the reason why we needed to do that is to help fund an athletic trainer, partially help fund a physical therapist, the utility increases over the past few years. And if you'll remember back when we did the budget presentation a few months ago, or back in the spring, since 2020, our average increase has been $77,908 over the past few years. So that's a huge chunk of those funds. And then also to help assist with the 1.5 local supplement. So every year with that 1.5% local supplement for teachers, every year that their salary increases, we also have to account for that 1.5% increase, not just by that salary increase, but also the FICA match and then the retirement match that's associated with it, as well as we always get an increase in the retirement percentage every year as well. So you have to count that into that increase as well. Are there any questions on the local current expense fund? Okay, we'll move on to the state public school fund. Total budgeted revenues and expenses for the state public school fund, $12,934,664. That accounts for 58% of our budget, so that's the largest piece of our budget. This includes this year a 2% to a 7.5% increase for certified teachers, certified instructional support, assistant principals, depending on years of educator experience. Recurring performance bonuses for 3 through 8 math and reading to be released in January of 24. We have recurring performance bonuses for AP, which is advanced placement, and career and technical education to be released in January of 2024. It was a 4% increase for principals. Recurring principal bonus that has already been paid, we had to pay that out in October of 23. A 4% increase for non-certified staff with an additional 2% increase for bus drivers, giving them a total of 6%. 4% increase for the central office staff, including administrators, directors, coordinators, and the supervisors. The supplemental funds for teacher compensation, our allocation for this year is $610,282. We do have to account for any retirement and FICA match that has to be paid out for that. So that left us with a total payment that we could pay each teacher this year, $4,183.54, which will be split into 2 payments. One will be in December, and we're hoping to release those, I think next Friday, which is the 8th maybe. $2,091.77, and then we'll release the final payment in May, and that'll also be $2,091.77. This also included retirement match increase. It was 25.02%, and that was 24.5% last year, so that was an increase over last year's. The health insurance employer contribution, it's $7,557 for the year. That's a $160 increase over last year for that one. Are there any questions on state public school fund? Okay, the federal grants fund. We have total budgeted revenues and expenditures as of September 26th of $2,073,854. This is actually that was November 26th, sorry. So pretty much by the time we had gotten the state budget and everything was passed by legislation, we had the majority of our federal budgets. That's not always the case when we are able to do the budget resolution earlier in the year. So most all of the federal budgets are already in here in the budget resolution. The largest amount that we have budgeted here, the ESSER funds still account for 54% of that total federal budget, coming in at $1,122,794. So after those funds expire, our federal funds will drop significantly. But the federal grants fund does account for 9% of our total budget. Are there any questions on the federal?
Ms. Hollingsworth, is this the last year of the ESSER funds? Is that what we?
Yes, we should be finished spending the remainder of our ESSER 3 funds at the end of this school year, June 30th. That is the plan. It just gets kind of difficult when you try to carry over to 3 months into September, so our goal is to have it done June 30th, so we don't have any carryover that we have to deal with on into September.
Do you remember how much is remaining in that ESSER funds?
The ESSER funds is about $1.1 million remaining in total.
Okay.
In all the ESSER funds. And that includes some federal extended day money, which is for the CTE program. We had some ESSER 2 monies left, ESSER 3, the big ESSER 3 funds that retention bonuses, some of our staff members that we were able to add. Then we had ESSER 3 math enrichment. We have some additional funds and those still left to spend, and then principal retention funds. So that's what's remaining in ESSER. The school food service fund, that accounts for 5% of our total budget. The total budgeted revenues and expenditures for this year will be $1,198,700. That does include a 4% increase for all of those staff members. The lunch prices for this year for the primary school and the elementary school are $3.40. For the middle school and the high school, $3.50. Another thing we would like to point out too is anybody that qualifies for reduced price breakfast and lunch, the state is picking up the difference in that cost and going ahead and paying for that difference, so they also get free lunch as well. Breakfast is free for all students. Local and child nutrition does split that 50-50, so that is still a program that we have in place, feeding all the students for breakfast. The capital outlay fund, it accounts for less than 1% of our total budget, and this year it'll be $53,747.97. What we already have budgeted right now includes carryover projects that are lottery funded and from the lottery repair and renovation funds. That was the Hazel High School flooring, a partial payments from the repair and renovation fund had to help fund that project because there was not enough ESSER funds to help to finish that project out. The painting at the elementary school, and then we had to install a new mini split and a classroom at the high school, and then we have requested to pull down some funds from our ADM funds and supply a match from PTO funds for the primary school for a playground sunshade. And then again, just to remind y'all that all county appropriated funds have been transferred over to the local current expense fund this year for use. So we will depend heavily on lottery funds and the repair and renovation funds this year if we have anything that we have to fund. Right now, the unallocated lottery balance is $138,265. And then the unallocated repair and renovation funds is $597,748. So we do have those funds to tap into should we need them. Okay, the next fund we have is the Education Foundation Fund, which is Fund 7. If you all recall, last year we started accounting for those in our local funds. So those are a total of $407,995, And I did give you a breakdown of each of the scholarships and what those balances were on your notes, so you have that to refer to. The other specific revenue fund, which is Fund 8, $3,631,531. I'm not going to go over each one of them that I listed for you all to review, but I'm going to just hit the top 10. Fund 8 does account for 16% of our total budget, and as you all are aware, over the years that has grown significantly. NC Pre-K is one of our biggest funds in that, with $211,995. Medicaid billing and Medicaid administrative claiming funds, $1,175,230. Gear Up, $261,213. Discovery Pathways, these are the fees collected and the subsistence that we receive for that program, $368,076. We had to budget for our child care program again this year, and we're anticipating $159,569. Indirect cost collections, we have the restricted rate at 2.985% this year. We can continue to collect the unrestricted rate through the end of the school year for the ESSER funds at 15.033%. And then child nutrition is now capped at 8%. But $199,905 is what we'll be budgeting in indirect cost collections. We have the Dogwood Trust CTE grant. That's $244,816. The Dogwood Trust Early Childhood Education Grant, $394,755. We have the Volkswagen settlement, that's $104,079. And then our miscellaneous revenue, which accounts for some miscellaneous EC funds, Exceptional Children's Department, miscellaneous CTE funds, Lunchbox Hero program. There's some money there for the middle school Lego robotics, if it gets back up and running again, and then other miscellaneous revenue that may come to the school system, and that's $117,870. So that just hits on the top 10 that we have going through Fund 8, along with the rest of it that flows through that fund. Do you have any questions?
You answered the question was, without that capital outlay, where we're going to draw those funds, but we'll just depend on.
We'll have to tap into those.
And we're getting lottery money added back in now.
We
We're past
We are
that.
getting distributions now, so every quarter they do a distribution.
Good.
Yes.
That was just a big concern for me, is the capital.
Especially when you look at pops like that laying on the floor. Okay. So there's the budget
That is the
resolution.
budget, and we recommend approval.
Just a comment about it, and thank you, did a good job of explaining everything and having it laid out so we can understand it. Sometimes just looking at these numbers, I can't understand
make
it
sense
either.
of
I
it.
gotta know what's behind it. And I was talking to Prince Godfrey today, we was talking about budget, and I told her that in the small school system, you don't have any extra money like we don't, and you don't get any extra money from the state. The budget's fairly simple. You're just doing what you did last year. You're trying to keep everybody on staff and paid, and there's not a lot of extra to say, all right, what are we gonna do here, what are we gonna do there? It's when you get a little windfall, that sometimes that happens. And I know there was thought process that this year we might have gotten some small school money, which would have made life a lot easier for everyone. And we would have had some decisions to make on what are we gonna do with it. But the way it is, you just gotta go forward and try to balance the budget and hope it works out. But I think she's done a good job putting it
Thank you.
together.
Very good. So heard the recommendation from Shelley that we approve the budget, so I'll entertain a motion that we approve that as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Ms. Beck has a motion. Mr. Caldwell seconds. All in favor? Thank you, Ms. Hollingsworth. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And next, we have the MOU between Clay County Department of Social Services and Clay County Schools. So,
So Mr. Penland said he put a copy of the entire MOU in your file. I also put a note sheet that just says highlights at the top, says Clay County DSS and CSS MOU highlights. It would have been right in front of your red folder. And so this way we don't have to read the whole thing. But basically, when I first came into federal programs, we didn't have guidance on how we were supposed to work with DSS. We just worked with DSS. And now there are rules and regulations. There are specific forms that have to be used and such. And we have to have an MOU annually. So Todd and I worked on this and pulled some things together. The biggest thing you'll see outlined in all the responsibilities joint for CCS and for DSS is transportation. And basically, just to lay it out short and simple, is we have to share it. If they have the funds available through Title IV, they take care of it. If we have funds available that they don't have available, we take care of it. We split it equally if we can, or we take it if we have to. So mainly transportation is handled through bus transportation, but sometimes Terry Hager does have to transport students for us. If we had to, we would also transport students individually on buses if we, it just depends. We did have a situation this past year, or at the beginning of this school year, where we transported a Cherokee County student to the early college for the Oaks because he was a foster child here. We had a bus that already went there, so we just got into agreement with Cherokee County that we would transport that student. And that's no longer necessary, we just did it as long as it was needed. So, and with the child care issue that we just ran into, we had a foster child who was placed on the other side of Hiwassee Dam. He couldn't get a child care placement in Cherokee County. He was having to come up here to Elf every day. Technically, we shouldn't serve them in Clay County because they live in Cherokee County, but because they were here during the day, we served them. So we just work together and such. So, but the main thing that outlined in here is different ways to supply transportation. We want to establish formal mechanisms to ensure that we are promptly notified by DSS when a student goes into foster placement. We want to ensure stability of the children through the bid process. That's a best interest determination process. So when a student goes into foster care, we have to know and we have to have a meeting to determine whether that child should stay in their current school or if they need to go to a school closer to the foster home. And almost always the best interest of the child is to stay in their school of origin because they're already going through a change at home by going into a foster placement. So we want to try to keep them in their school of origin. So we might work out that our bus meets their bus at the county line, or our Terry Hager will meet them at the county line. So we try our best to work those things out to keep them so that they're in a familiar setting in their schools. So we want to allocate any type of funding, whether it be for transportation or other needs that those students might have. We want to communicate regularly and above all maintain confidentiality for the student and for the family so we don't go out there talking about what's going on. We have to maintain a foster care point of contact, so that's Terry Hager for us. It used to be me, but once we got Terry, thank God we got Terry. Terry takes care of a lot. So she shares contact with the welfare agencies, and we list that on our website and put that on all of our federal program applications. I have to list her as our federal foster point of contact. We assist the agencies by arranging the bid meetings. She schedules all of those. And we ensure immediate enrollment. Used to, you could wait to enroll a child till you had a birth certificate and all that stuff. That is no longer applicable, and state law requires us to enroll them immediately. We are responsible for making sure that we let them know if we have specific Title I funds available, but those Title I funds cannot be tied to our homeless Title I funds. There's a specific rule about that. Those rules about the transportation, either DSS can reimburse us, we can agree to pay for it, or we can split the cost. So that's outlined in there. DSS agrees to identify all children in foster care. They are supposed to inform us if they need transportation. They support those costs if needed. They immediately inform us, or the school and Terry, when a placement changes. So even if they're not even going to change schools, they might be in the same town, but the placement changed, then they have to let us know. They provide notification of placement within 1 day. We have to have those BID meetings within 3 to 5 days. The immediate enrollment form has to be used, and then we coordinate and share data with them and they with us. So we're just looking for approval for that newest MOU with DSS.
Very Good. So you've heard those highlights for the MOU with Clay County DSS. So we'll entertain a motion that we approve that MOU.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Crawford, is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Ms. Beck, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Angel. And next we have approval of the consent agendas. In the consent agenda, we just have the policies that have been on there for a couple of months now.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months. And then the board meeting minutes for October 23rd regular session, October 17th, October 30th, and November 20th special meetings. So, any questions or comments about the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve it as it's presented. Mr. Caldwell makes a motion that we approve. Ms. Crawford seconds that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now, any comments or remarks from the board for this evening? If not,
Let's go.
Okay,
I'm
yep.
on the board, but
Nope, go ahead, right ahead.
before we go into closed session, I just want to say, I've enjoyed the last 5 minutes, I really have. It's been a wonderful place to work. I knew that coming in, always it has been. And great staff starting here in the central office, they're just so good. Principals, teachers, students, parents, everyone. It's really been a joy, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing great things happen. I know Ms. Godfrey will do great. She's getting a load right now. Every time I see her, and then she walks out the door, and there's 5 other things I forgot to tell her about. But I'll be tomorrow. We'll get it done. But again, thank you all. And,
Well, thank you. Yeah.
I think things will go fine. With that, I've got one little parting advice for Ms. Godfrey, and that's saving to put it on the board. Which is, her statistics are really good tonight, but this is where it's at right here. So, I thought she needed to see that. That's all I got to say.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Penley. Yeah.
Could I just
You can,
express
yes.
my really, really deep and heartfelt appreciation for Mr. Penley and what he has done, not only for the school system for so many years, but as he's come back in, and especially this time. It just seems like, it really has worked so well, and he's done so much and worked so hard with so many challenges, and I feel like, it's just been something that should be given a great big
Round of applause.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Penley.
thank you so much.
Anybody else? If not, then I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session. Mr. Caldwell, is there a second?
Seconded.
Mr. Crawford, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank